Hello, everyone. I am Umar. I welcome you all on behalf of PRESA. We have a session today. We have two wonderful speakers. Let me allow you to introduce the second speaker as well. Dr. Eram Ashraf holds a PhD in International Relations from Swansea University, UK, where she currently resides. Her doctoral research explored societal security, social identity, and the Uyghur millat minzu. Her current work focuses on China-Pakistan relations, particularly the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor within the Belt and Road Initiative, with the special interest in the role of gender and regional dynamics. The chapter China-Pakistan Relations, Gender and the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor was published in Pakistan, China, and the Belt and Road Initiative. She has also published the Diplomat, Development Advocate Pakistan UNDP, and Dirasat, addressing regional connectivity, diplomacy, and geopolitical shifts. She's currently working on a book with Bloomsbury Academic exploring China-Pakistan relations through a gender lens. The floor is over now to Dr. Eram Ashraf for her presentation, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so actually my talk fits in very nicely with the soft power part of Professor Nurizaman about what China is doing in Pakistan, and that's what I'm looking at in terms of its diplomatic efforts. So I look at a niche area of China's awards diplomacy in Pakistan, through which they are trying to win hearts and minds. In the picture, you can see Professor Atta Rahman, who's received various medals for his scientific work. He's a chemistry professor, if somebody doesn't know, in recognition of his talent. And in the bottom picture is from 2015, President Xi Jinping's visit to Pakistan, in which he gave friendship awards. These were more like the Punch Shield Friendship Awards to various Pakistani entities there. So to begin, I'm going to give two broad divisions of awards for the sake of time and messaging. So the Chinese awards, the friendship awards, for example, can be divided into two parts. So one is associated with the, am I repeating myself? Right, so one is associated with CPEC, which is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is considered the flagship project of China's Belt and Road Initiative in Pakistan. The other one is the non-CPEC awards, which are awards given to Pakistani citizens not connected to CPEC. So, for example, for projects which are run by Chinese companies under other initiatives, such as WAPDA or whatever. So to begin with, I'm going to start with the first of those CPEC awards. It's called the Outstanding Pakistani Employee of CPEC Project. And it recognizes the work and effort of Pakistani employees working on CPEC projects whose work has been of special significance. Awards was given in 2018. Sorry, 2020, I beg your pardon. In 2020, it was done online because it was during COVID. 18 recipients were chosen for this, and for me, what was flagged up was none of them were females. And that actually resulted in the work that was published in the Routledge book last year, in which I highlighted the gender gap in their relationships between Pakistan and China, that the game-changing project of CPEC had nothing for women of Pakistan. So you can see even in the recognition of the work efforts, no Pakistani females were selected. In the second ceremony the next year, however, one was selected. The third one, by the end of 22, two females were selected. it. In 23, we noticed, or at least I noticed, that the award ceremony was not announced. Now, that was interesting because there were two things happening. There was a change in the ambassador role for China. So China's ambassador during the previous announcements was Ambassador Nong Rong. By December 23, his time period had finished, and the new ambassador who was coming in didn't join in till later. So there was this gap. But the reason why I have this is because I have created a database of these awards, Chinese awards given to Pakistani citizens. And in that, I rely on open information online and in English, and somehow these awards were no longer celebrated. So as you can see, that's a photograph from the newspaper clipping in Pakistan when these awards were announced in 22. So with the photograph, so it's a big deal. It was considered a big deal. You know, these are the people who've selected, and look at the fantastic CPEC work happening. And yet in 2023, all of a sudden, the publicity part of it has finished. And we find that individual level companies such as in Gwadar, we have the COPHC, the China Poet Authority. They conducted their own awards and selected 17 of their own individual people. But collectively, these kind of events which were hosted by the Chinese embassy all of a sudden are no longer seen as published as before. But these are the projects through which, these are the awards through which China has, the embassy especially, has been involved in recognizing the services of Pakistani citizens working in CPEC. The next award, which is the most important award, was the CPEC Media Forum Golden Anchor Awards. Now, the CPEC Media Forum is a media forum which was created in 2015 between the Chinese embassy and a think tank in Pakistan called the CPI, China-Pakistan Institute, under Senator Mushahid Hussain. Now, they then in 2018 created these awards. So the media forum collects, it's an annual media forum which collects to discuss hostility against CPEC and negative media portrayal and how collectively these can be addressed. And in 2018, it was decided that awards will be given to those projects and articles which were deemed to be very appreciative of China and CPEC within Pakistan. Now, these started in November 2018, and as you can see, the first award was given to Miss Eram Ashraf, who actually became the first Pakistani woman to ever receive any award from China. Unfortunately, she was the first and the only Pakistani female who has received a Chinese award for this category. So far, 5 award ceremonies have been conducted. The awards were created by China Economic Net, which is a state-affiliated, Chinese state-affiliated newspaper website for the Economic Daily, again with Pakistani judges also, and they choose not just Pakistanis but also Chinese news articles and writers who portray positive information about China and CPEC. And this is important. Again, the award ceremony, November 2018, for me was interesting. I've recently published a report with the Center for Economic and Social Progress, in which I look at the award diplomacy. And I noticed that the awards that started to be given in 2018 followed the change in government in Pakistan with Prime Minister Imran Khan and PTI taking over. And there was a very negative idea that's associated with the party initially, that they were hesitant about CPEC. There was a lot of anti-CPEC narrative in media at that time, and it was felt that perhaps these awards had something to, again, show that no, these are positive stories. The people who write positively are beneficial and are being recognized. So there is this tendency to see them connected. So the next award that I'm looking at are non-CPEC awards. So the first ones were connected to CPEC. These are non-CPEC. Again, these are connected to people who are not directly related to CPEC. And based on my database of 215 Pakistanis who've been awarded, I've divided into various professional backgrounds. So if you see natural science, 10%. So those were people like such as Professor Atta Rahman, the chemistry professor, who received those awards on the basis of the profession. But majority of them, so you can see 45% of these awards were given to media. Now, when I say media, it means journalists, editors, even owners sometimes of these media centers, including for, now you can see, hang on, let me do this. Minimize, I can't bring them down. Hang on. So you can see think tanks even. So think tanks in Pakistan. So these are Pakistani think tanks who carry out research and publish positive stories on China. So their directors and sometimes chairpersons have received these awards from China. And as you can see, the majority, the larger batch, media 45%, think tanks 14%, education. And again, in education, you've got professors and directors. So these are the people who have been recognized and given awards. So these form the majority of these non-CPEC awardees as compared to business. So for example, in the business side of things, 10% have received. Miscellaneous are people like Ahmed Ali Jan. He is the grave keeper, the grave cleaner for the Chinese graveyard, which keeps the deceased of the Karakoram, those people who died in the building the Karakoram Highway, the China-Pakistan Friendship Awards. So people were like that who were recognized in 2015 when President Xi Jinping came. So those are included in miscellaneous. So when you look at the focus of the larger groups selected to receive awards from China, it's really those who disseminate positive stories about China, who share good news about China, so that inside Pakistan, goodwill is created for China. And the Belt and Road Initiative in Pakistan, CPEC, receives positive news. And this is important because if you remember, it wasn't always a rosy picture for CPEC in China, because initially there were problems of and even now there are accusations of transparency. Initial days there was a problem with Chinese labor as well. Who is getting employment under CPEC in Pakistan? Is the Chinese who are coming, doing the jobs, or Pakistanis are getting the jobs? Then there was the debt diplomacy argument being created, that Pakistan is already under debt. How much of a debt is the CPEC? So all of these narratives were creating negative image about CPEC and China within media. So in this sense, it makes sense that this is the focus of the Chinese awards. Media, think tanks, education. So those who are propagating good news and good stories about China, they've been recognized. So in conclusion, the awards that I've been in my data set, that although it's still active file is continuing, but for my work, my published work, I focused on the 10 years of CPEC. 215 Chinese awards have been given to Pakistani citizens. Now, I must make mention here, it's not just Chinese embassy who's given these awards and Chinese companies, but for example, as we saw in 2023, when there was a change in the ambassador for China, we found Chinese consulates in Lahore and Karachi. They were involved in giving these awards at a larger level. So whereas in the past, maybe they would be giving to 5 or 6 of them, all of a sudden in 23, they were giving to 50 of them. So all these are agencies from the Chinese side who recognize and have chosen individuals for their contributions to selling China and CPEC in Pakistan in that sense. and they've recognized. So from all of these, we can make an adjustment, an idea that for China, opinion makers and knowledge disseminators, especially those who present a positive image of CPEC and China inside Pakistan, are important. So hopefully this helps you understand the way Chinese influence or Chinese awards has been trying to influence and sort of the positive trend in Pakistan for China and CPEC. So I'm going to end here. I'm open for questions if anybody's interested.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eram.